My name is Mark Hegren. I'm Head of Technical Service Automotive Coatings, and I'm proud to introduce you today our latest development for waterborne base coats. It's a special agent, and during this presentation I will show you why we call it special agent. If you look on the product data, it looks maybe not so exciting. It's a white powder, have a certain density, but this gives you already a hint that's maybe not so dusty material. But if you see that it's based on synthetic clay, you get an idea that there's maybe great performance behind this product. And let's have a closer look what makes this additive so special. I think you all know the LAPONITE RD, which is at the moment the benchmark for metallic orientation in waterborne systems. With our latest development, the LAPONITE 7007, we now developed an additive which is made on the different production process. By this, we are able to get larger particles, which give you additional benefits in your formulation, where you may struggle with the LAPONITE RD. On one hand side, it's a higher rheology you can achieve with this additive. On the other side, you can easier disperse the material in water. And the material is also less sensitive for ions or pH or surfactants in the material. So the range of application for this product is by far wider compared to the RD. Here on this slide you get a bit of feeling where you can distinguish the RD with the LAPONITE 707. To show the performance advantage, we incorporate 3% of the additive in tap water. I know you all know that you should usually not use tap water, but just this is to show you the advantages of the product. When you wait a bit time, you see that the LAPONITE RD in the tap water will create very quick a gel. While on the other side, with the LAPONITE 707, we notice a nice liquid and we don't see any seeds. This is a huge advantage for your paint application. A big benefit of the new LAPONITE 707 is that you can prepare dispersion which have a higher loading. So normal LAPONITE RD, you have 2 to 3% dispersions in use. But with the new LAPONITE 707, you can make dispersion up to 5%. Sure, that depends on the application and how long you want to have shelf life for this mixture. To give you an idea how it looks like if you store this preparation, you find here in the picture on one hand side the fresh prepared dispersion, which is 1 day old, and we stored this dispersion for 3 months. You see an increase of the viscosity with the dispersion with higher pigment load. But the good thing is, after very little incorporation of shear, you will get a big drop of the viscosity so that the material is still nice flowable and pumpable. And even more important is what happens if you incorporate this dispersion in your aluminium base coat. That we have done here with the 2 pictures are shown in the presentation. On the left hand side we took a LAPONITE RD solution which we incorporate in this base coat. In the other case we took the dispersion based on LAPONITE 707. In the case of the RD, we had a real gel of the dispersion, which caused also in the paint film a lot of seeding. While the LAPONITE 707 are liquid, so you could easily incorporate it into the paint without getting any seeds. So that's a huge increase of safety in the processing when you work with our new special agent. The appearance you can achieve with the new LAPONITE 707 are quite similar to the one of the LAPONITE RD, as you can see here in the graph in the presentation. The LAPONITE RD had a flop value in this example about 16.5, and that's also the level what we achieved with a 2% solution of the LAPONITE 707. But even if you increase the dosage of the LAPONITE in the dispersion, you still are able to achieve metallic orientation, so flop values about 16. And very clearly you see in this overview the advantage of the use of the LAPONITE, because compared to the base coat sample without the LAPONITE, we have more than 2 flop values higher flop. And the higher pigment or the higher loading of the LAPONITE in the dispersion brings you much more freedom for the formulation, because you carry less water into your paint system. This new additive works not only in base coat, it's also an excellent tool for aluminum top coats. That's why I show you here also an example how the LAPONITE 707 can improve the metallic orientation of waterborne top coats, like for example for consumer uses. On the left side of the slide you see a rheology profile we measured of this waterborne top coats. So this diagram shows the recovery of the viscosity after high shear. That means as quicker the rheology build up, so as more pseudoplastic the material, as better the metallic orientation. That's why also the bright green line shows the quickest recovery, which lead at the end in a much higher flop value. The LAPONITE RD here also improved compared to the reference without the LAPONITE, already good orientation, but with the LAPONITE 707 we were able to improve the flop value by more than 1 unit. The additive doesn't work only for metallic. It could be also a very nice rheology additive for anti-settlement. And that's exactly what you see here on this slide. We put different rheology modifier into a white slurry, waterborne slurry, the grind of titanium dioxide. And you can easily see that the anti-settlement properties with the LAPONITE 707 are excellent. So you have only very little liquid on top of the slurry. And also if you see the measured rheology, you notice that the LAPONITE 707 shows the highest low shear viscosity, which is very useful to prevent the settlement. But you don't see any rheology in the high shear films. That means at the application, the additive will not much impact the rheology profile. So the atomization of the paint could be still good. Now you know why we call it our special agent for rheology. Because the new LAPONITE 707 offer you benefits compared to the already very well-known LAPONITE RD. It gives you very quick recovery of the viscosity after high shear. But the biggest advantage of the product is a more easy and robust handling. So you can have higher quantities of the LAPONITE 707 in the dispersion, which give you more freedom to operate regarding the quantities of water in your formulation. And next to the metallic orientation, it could be also a very nice tool to get anti-settlement properties. Thank you very much for your attention, for listening to my presentation. And in case you have questions to the LAPONITE 707 or other products for automotive, feel free to contact me.